New month, September's here. Let's go through this week. We've seen the whole week play out. I've took 2 trades. I'm going to talk through my accounts and everything to do with this quarter. On the higher time frames, down to lower time frames, USD news this week was very, very weak in the end. And we were expecting something along the lines of what's come out for the most part. But we did see a very, very bad print there for NFP. Unemployment's also gone up. It's not looking very good for the USD right now. And that's where I'm going to talk about a lot of things. Going into the charts, we're going to start on the weekly time frame. Now, this week has gone up a little bit. We've only retook previous weekly high with NFP. What was I thinking with this? Because I've been bearish. And what I deem to be after, especially if we go to what we did after we took previous weekly low last week. And my idea was I was still bearish. And the only reason why I look back on it now and say that we might not have been is because I've really been trying to think about the fact, especially with the cuts that could come in next week by 0.25%. And also down to the fact the NFP was forecasted bad. With the USD rates being the highest out of all countries as well, we've already seen the Euro cut their rates, we've already seen the Pound cut their rates, and we've still, at that point, didn't see much weakness from them countries or currencies from that. But with the USD, we haven't even got to the cuts yet, which is probably going to mean the USD is going to weaken even further. And I think I don't take enough from that to maybe in more uncertain periods where the technicals aren't moving as clean, maybe realise that. And that's something I could definitely improve on, for sure. But yeah, we took this low, and then the further week come down last week and failed to take out the highs after clearing previous weekly low. So when the week started up on the daily time frame, and we cleared previous weekly high, my idea here was you can see that at this point, we had this high, and then we made a further high with these wicks, and we made a further high. To start this week, we put in a lower high here, and obviously I was talking about this range being not ideal, but when Tuesday closed like this, I actually quite like this setup and really expecting price to run down. Now, looking back, we didn't really clear the previous weekly, well, this high anyway, the main high of the range, which would have been better to see this wick come up even further and reject, and we didn't. So again, I've ended up taking a trade within this range in the end. Should I have waited because of the drawdown? It's hard to say, because if the trade plays out, you're going to go, well, that was the right move. And if it doesn't, then obviously you can argue it wasn't and you should have waited. But I took it. I took a trade on the Wednesday. And what I was looking for, I just got in around the start of the day using this as my overall leg. And I had quite a big stop loss. I was looking at a move here around the start of the day, just purely getting in. It's around here. And I had stops all the way above the leg. Trying to play down to August low, to be honest. And that was my play. That was my shout. And obviously I took a lot of losses in this area. And in hindsight, obviously I'll be looking back at this to review. But yeah, that was what happened there. And throughout the week before NFP, we did potentially leave an order block fair value gap. At the point of where we're at now though, Thursday and Wednesday failed to take out the low and continued down to previous weekly low. The next day, Thursday, just ranged. Today we've seen bad USD figures, and I think it was anticipated that they'll be bad. And I'm fighting that, really. I think I'm fighting that, and I want to learn. I need to be sharp on the fundamentals. I'm not saying I need to be a fundamental trader, but I always revert back in the losing periods at least to say, should have took more account of the fundamentals. But it's more down to the fact that technicals haven't been crisp. So the fundamentals do take more weighting, and the USD is weak straight up. And even if the euro is not the strongest, which it isn't, the USD is just far weaker, and there's still rate cuts to come. That's an L I took. So I took an L there on EU, and then as for GU, very much looking similar, with the overall idea that we had some weird week there where we didn't even clear previous high or previous low the previous week. What we saw coming into this week at least is price swept. Well, what we did is price swept this low. So my idea was we set this low, we should be heading up to take this out. And as soon as we saw this and we broke back below here, I was really eyeing up a sell. And I did take a sell again, similarly to what the move was on EU. So I did take both. And I've waited a month to take a GU trade, by the way. So I've waited a long time. I've been patient, and I think that was worth a shot, especially in the way that I trade. And I was looking for a trade on the pullback into this gap, trying to trade to August low again. Just been getting it wrong on the higher time frames. And it's an interesting perspective because we did the exact same where price ran down to the previous daily low on Wednesday. And then Thursday did nothing. And obviously the prints come out today, bad for USD. And we've seen the stop loss get hit. So Another 2 losses for me. I'm on a 9 trade losing streak, by the way. Straight up the hardest period in my prop firm journey by an absolute mile. And no wonder why on the higher time frames, dailies are ranging. And we're still not breaking out. I would still want to see this weekly break above here, and I'll be buying next week for sure. We've got quite a nice area we might pull back into. As long as we can break above here and then not fake out, be nice. But this is my live data. Let me get it up because I'm on a 9 trade losing streak and I've won 1 out of the last 13 or 14 trades. And I spoke about this in the previous week as well. It's been getting decimated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At no point have I broken the rules of my strategy though. So that's an important thing to remember. And many traders will go on tilt here, but I haven't. I waited all last week, didn't take a trade, was sitting out of the market. Yes, I did get in this EU range. I think it's questionable. I could have stayed out of it and I could have waited for the range break on the daily to then take further sells. Was I being a bit impatient? Maybe, but then would it go into my data as a loss? Yes. When this happened earlier in the year, which I wasn't trading at the time, when I take 1 out of 16 trade losses and I take winners all there, I'm not sitting there questioning what I'm doing. So I'm still not questioning my strategy. I'm just trying to share. There's periods in the market where you go on huge winning streaks and it seems like you can't lose. There's also times in the market where you go on huge losing streaks, seems like you can't win. So that's what's happened there. As a result, I'm in that period of losses, and periods of losses do happen. They haven't happened this year at all yet in a big bunch, which we're now seeing. They happen at times here as well. So what do I know? I know there's a high chance in the next couple of months I should have a huge winning streak that could come in. So I am banking on that because I know that it's a high probability and the drawdown won't last forever, and it's hard to realise that when you're in drawdown. And I've learned so much from this period of losing, so much more. I didn't think I had much more to learn, but I clearly did. I clearly did. And the first thing I've learned is don't buy challenge accounts in profit. When you've just had payouts, don't go and buy a challenge from that point. Wait until you're in a losing period. And I have done that, and I'm already nearly blowing more challenges that I've took after I've already been in a losing period. The next thing I had to learn is realistically probabilities are a huge part of trading, and I never thought of this before enough. You always think on a winning streak you're doing something right and a losing streak you're doing something wrong. But then I've gone through time and time again the way I trade, and I would do the same again. But when you then start, especially when you're on a live account and you're having this, it doesn't matter as much, because if they're all 1% risk, you're only down 10%. But on a funded account, you could blow that account. Balancing the payouts, buying challenge accounts, and putting money into your live account is actually so hard with prop firms, because when you get payouts, you want to reinvest into the business. You can fail challenges. I've never really experienced failing multiple challenges all within a few months. I've already spoke about it before, I failed like 1 or 2 challenges in the past year through the max loss. But then again, I've now experienced the other side of that. The flip side of the probability is there's going to be periods where I'll lose multiple challenges at once or within a period. And I have done that now. So that's not a shock. Why was I not expecting that to happen at some point? So in my head, I'm really come to terms with all of that now. Showing you guys the accounts. We are overall down, what's this? 3.75% on my 1% risk on FTMO. And then down 1.75%. Yeah, 1.75%. I'm in the gutter here. But I don't want to think negatively of how many trades before I blow the account. I want to see it as how many opportunities have I got left to keep the account running. And that's 3 to 4 trades. Really, it's 3 trades on the risk that I take. So I have 3 trades left on this. And I've still not blown this account. There's no point me worrying about what's going to happen. I haven't blown this account. I have the maximum amount of drawdown to use and utilise. So why not use it until it's taken away from me? What I'll learn from this on a 0.75 risk, in the future, I would never risk more than 0.5 if I start blowing funded accounts. That's a lesson. That's all I can learn. I'm not going to quit prop firms because I blow a funded account. I'm in the game for the long run. So I've got to realise what are the mistakes, what am I going to improve upon. I took this challenge, I had 5 losses in a row, or maybe 6. I've got 1 trade left, and that's quite a new 100k challenge I've got. So what I'm going to do is if I fail this account on my next trade, if it loses, I'll probably blow the account. I don't have enough to take 2 positions because, again, I'll be risking like 1% instead of the 1.5 that I'd rather risk. And I've done that mistake on Funded Next already with letting an account balance go fluctuate up and down. If this account fails, I'll buy a 200k 2-step at the end of September. That's my overall goal with this. If I keep it, then I keep it and I can try and resuscitate it. This account's got 3% left. So I've got 4 trades left on this funded account. I've not even had a payout from this account. So this has gone straight into drawdown. I've had a massive losing streak. That's all my funded accounts with the overall one there. Challenge step 1, phase 1. Then Think Capital, I've finally blown. So I was risking high on this account and I've took 2 losses there. That's it. I've blown that account. I've got nothing left. I did breach the daily loss limit at the same time as the actual account balance. So that's done. No more Think Capital. I'm not going to go for another challenge with them. Bright funded phase 1. We're down 4.5%. So I've still only got halfway to the overall drawdown on this. So that's sitting there in good stead. E8 I've also blown today. So you can see I've breached there the overall total loss. But you buy challenges with the expectation of a higher risk that you can blow them. And you use your prop firm payouts to almost make it risk-free. Because it is. But the being able to make a lot of money with prop firms only comes after you've acquired like a mil funding or a point at which you're happy with the amount of funding that you've got and you're not going for any more challenges. But that ain't me at the minute. I'm stuck with this 200k and this 200k, and that is it for the minute. The hardest thing about prop firms is you know that even if you lose a funded 3 to 5 win streak, you could literally have another 200k funded. If you buy 2 challenges at once, you could have another 400k funded, all within the space of a month if you have a very good month. And that's really hard to compute when you're trading prop firms and you're worrying. And the last thing you need to do is worry. If you know over the long term you've got an edge, you've really got to go for it. And that's my mentality at the minute is I cannot get deterred from buying more prop firms or going harder because that is something I know I have an edge. And I've built that edge up over the last year and a half. For me to lose that edge now, it just wouldn't make sense to me in my head. Could be delusion, I don't know. But that's my thought process, and that's all I want to share. My thought process right now, what I'm thinking. So I'm still 600k funded with 400k in challenges. So I could still have a mil funded by the end of the year if I go on a winning streak. Let's see what I do. But yeah, we're in drawdown on the challenges. We're in drawdown on the funding. This is the time where do you even want to trade? Because trading's not made when you're having winners and you're winning. This is all part of trading. Trading is the winners, the losers, and everything in between. Just because you're in a drawdown period, you can't enjoy trading less because everything's part of your edge. So enjoy the trading and learn from the mistakes. Learn from what happens here. If I end up having loads of losses going into this month, and I'll learn, then so be it. But even if I have cultivated an amount of like 600k funding and it blows all of it, then why can't I do that again? Why can't I get more funding next time, learn from the errors, and keep a mil funding? So I'm very positive about the mindset I'm in because being negative isn't going to get you anywhere at all. And if anything, it'll make you even worse. I've talked about my analysis on every single video. I've not broken rules and I've stuck to my plan. So make of that what you will. We're going to go back next week. We can do it all again. I will be worried about taking my next trade. I'll wait for the right conferences this time. If last week, going into this week, I was not quite there on EU. And yeah, just wait to see what happens here. But yeah, going to next week. See you guys then. Take care. Peace out.